I got to find out whose birthday we want to lead with.
All right, guys.
Crossword puzzle.
You know what that music means, don't you, Case?
Hockey
Yeah,
time.
It's time. It's time. It's going. It's going. It's rolling.
New year.
Now's as good as time to any to start, right? Although
I think so.
You want to tell the listeners where you are right now, Casey?
Well, I'm actually at the Oklahoma Blood Institute getting platelets. And
he's with
having
Buffy.
Having an issue with my needle here.
Hey,
so
does
I'm
Buffy?
afraid we're going to have to do something different.
Does Buffy look like
low draw pressure?
Hey, does Buffy look anything like what's her name, Sarah Michelle Gellar on Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I think it's very commendable to you, Casey, to be donating your blood like that. That's my point. Is the listeners, when the blood drive comes rolling through, give your blood. It's a good thing.
He knows that.
But anyway, this is our first show after the start of the new year.
Hey, everybody.
And we got a lot to talk about, I'm sure.
Hopefully everybody had a good new year and are still listening to us here on Citizen Watch, AM 1480, KYOS, Voice of the Valley.
That's right, with Casey Steed, Robert the Velvet Sledgehammer Tomasetti.
Who?
And
you.
Steve Colvard.
That's it.
Hey, guys.
Engineer in the business.
Hey, should we tell Steve the good news? Hey, Steve, you know how we've been trying to get a hold of Frank Pietro?
Frank Pietro,
hey, that is great news.
The business
Robert,
manager for Atwater.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I don't.
Well, we had a wonderful dinner cooked by Joe P. at the Idol, $37.50. You had filet mignon wrapped in bacon. You had prawns. Prawns out the wazoo. Okay. You had the vegetables, the salad, the cheesecake, the wine on the table for $37.50 for New Year's. So anybody who wants to get in on that next time, just let Joe P. know because we had some spots. Casey was gone. Casey usually takes a couple of spots up himself. Casey's a big guy. For those of you that don't know what Casey looks like, he looks like a furry Fozzie the Bear. He really does. He's big.
A big dude.
He's a big dude, and he's got a heart of gold. But anyways,
big voice.
So Frank Pietro comes in, and I'm bartending anyways, and so Frank Pietro's like, "Hey, what's up?" And I go, "Hey, well, When can we get you to come on the radio show? What radio show?
What radio show?
He says, what radio show? And I said, my radio show, Casey's radio show, Steve's radio show. You don't listen? They gave you a microphone? Yeah. Well, what'd you talk about? I go, we talked about what a hero you were and making Atwater happen. And he goes, really? I go, yeah. He goes, you call me. I'll come on your show. So instead of getting the Democratic, let us tell you what we're doing for the kids and what we're doing wonderfully for the homeless and how we're going to get a 2% pay raise for the EBT people and how minimum wage is going up. We got a guy who actually was not an elected official that went out here and really
got things done.
Got things done over the top.
Absolutely, and it's not a pretty picture sometimes. Sometimes you got to get mean. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And speaking of pay raises.
Don't go there. Casey, go ahead, buddy. I know that you're probably feeling a little faint. You need some orange juice right about now, but I know you had something to say about the county board gets pay raises.
Well,
knock it out, buddy.
I'm surprised to see that, and if people are going to read in the paper, the County Board of Supervisors got a retroactive raise back to July of last year. I think it was 1.2%, bumps them close to $100,000 a year. So it's one of those deals where I don't know if that's really justified in these economic times.
But the interesting thing is,
that one of the supervisors agreed with me.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is, before we go their case, is the way that the pay raises are determined. And do you want to inform the listener on how they
Well, they're tied to the Superior Court judges' performance or pay raises. And as we know, the Superior Court judges in general are pretty hard to come by there. We need more judges in the state because we have a backlog of cases.
And those guys go to sit at their seat every day with 10 hours of work in front of them. Those guys work their butts off. Those Superior Court judges.
Well, the supervisors, I know, have to show up 2 times a month for a meeting at 10 o'clock. They're usually out of there by 10:30.
And I've always said...
But again, the point I'm trying to make is here is another example of a pay raise being tied to something other than how you're performing.
Oh, no. Don't get that wrong. It is tied to the judge's performance. So we are basing our supervisor's pay on how well the people think that the superior court
But they don't have the same job.
No, but here's
so
the
if you're
thing
doing well at the
right.
Superior Court, how does that juxtapose into the supervisor? I don't get it.
I'm being flippant. How does it juxtapose? It's so they can sit there. Here's what I don't like. I don't like how it's disingenuous. Deidre Kelsey in here, and I'm going to read it, and page... Well, first of all, let me see here. She's going to get, because she's going to be the new chairwoman, she's going to get $400 more than her buddies sitting up there. $400 more a month. For what reason?
Okay. How much are they making now? What did you say, Casey said? 100 grand?
98.
It's going to be about 98 now. Realize a few years ago, the supervisors made a gesture. Two of them decided to take a voluntary 5% pay reduction.
I'm going to get to that. Did you read? For the listeners that know, Casey, work with me on this because you're in here, buddy. It says Casey Steed, District 2 supervisor seat, who he previously ran for, took aim at the pay raises. And you're absolutely correct. They are not based on job performance. But what I think is disingenuous is people like Deidre, Kelsey sit there and go, well, I didn't ask for this pay raise. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of these crappy actresses at the Academy Awards. Oh, my movie didn't do so well at the box office, but thank you for my unsubstantiated reward here of an Academy Award. That's what this reeks of. She says that, yes, they gave the money back, a 5% salary reduction 2 years ago, but she said, I ain't doing it again. Okay, there's
but here's the thing, Robert. It was only two of them that gave it back. When it came up to a vote before the board, they were going to take a 10% reduction to show solidarity with the troops, and they couldn't agree on it. They couldn't pass it.
I don't know that.
And one of the supervisors that took the 5% reduction, when he's the chairman, he gets a 5% raise, so he didn't take a deduction at all for a whole year.
Well, and I agree with this, and it's numbers and it's fuzzy math that we say a lot of times. But what bugs me is Deidre Kelsey, who nobody heard about at all.
She ran unopposed. This is her 5th term.
That's 20 years, right?
Makes me want to move to Snelling.
These are the people that you are allowing to lead our county, listeners.
Do you guys have you got a mobile home in Snelling I can rent, so that way I can claim as No,
well, let's get back to this point, though.
Okay, well, here's my point. Deidre Kelsey ran unopposed. Nobody in Snelling or Winton, wants to come out and oppose her. This lady has hidden. Now, I've been on a radio show for, 7 months. I've never seen anything of her. I know I tease Lynn Davis, but quite honestly, guys, I know what Lynn Davis looks like. I've met him several times. Deidre Kelsey, I have no idea what she looks like. Okay? I never see her anywhere. And if she is somewhere, she never says, hi, I'm Deidre Kelsey, never wears a name tag or nothing. Now that she's the chairwoman on January 1st, she opens her mouth and comes out with, now this is exactly what she says, okay? And this is the disingenuousness on page A5, and it's in the second column. It says, the county supervisors were not subject to a 5% salary reduction, but some voluntarily took the decrease. Kelsey, one of those supervisors, said that she's not going to take the decrease again. Well, she doesn't have to because she's going to get a 5% bump here because she's going to get $4,800 for the year just for being the chairwoman. Okay, then on the end of towards the end, she said, Deidre Kelsey said she agrees the raises are unwarranted because of Merced County's economic climate. But then she gets arrogant and says, when asked about a public process to decide county supervisor raises, she said there already is one. I think there is a public process, and it's called an election every 4 years.
When is she up for re-election?
I don't know, but you know what I'm going to be, where I'm going to be hanging out.
2016. She sounds like, Marie Antoinette had more compassion.
Let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake. We're supposed to crawl to the polls 20 times a century to beg them to do something. What about leadership? You know that the Madera Board of Supervisors turned down that raise because they are also tied to the judges, and they decided not to take it because of these economic.
No,
Kelsey is wrong when she says there's only a public process.
No, and she's absolutely but Casey, she's absolutely correct. There's nothing we can darn do about it until we vote. And Steve has been telling everybody, vote, 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 vote. You've been telling everybody, vote, 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 vote.
But there's another element to that too. We've got to get some good qualified individuals to run. So if you're out there and you think you can make an impact in this county, throw your hat in the ring. We've got to get people in the races.
Yes.
This network has to be broken up.
Well, and I'll be very honest, and I agree with you. I never knew who Jim Pacheco was. He ran against John Pedroso, and you saw John Pedroso working hard. You saw John Pedroso get off his duff. But I'm going to say this. John Pedroso, Supervisor, what's his name, because we said we wouldn't name his name.
Well,
because he gets offended every time it comes up and we criticize. He and Hub Walsh, when I go to the supervisor's chambers and I go through there periodically to do some business, and I pop up to the third floor to say hi or to air something I come up with, Hub Walsh and John Pedroza are always there. I never see any of the others. So when I look at what do they do, I see John and Hub, working, and they're going to meetings and stuff. Deidre Kelsey, I swear to God, this lady doesn't need this money. And here's the thing that bugs me about her. If you read on the raises on the first column, she says, they said that they wanted to have an ordinance, linking Merced County salaries with the judges in order to avoid conflict of interest. She says the ordinance was put together so the Board of Supervisors wouldn't have to examine our wages or be in control of our wages. I didn't support that ordinance because I felt that the pay rank...
How about a citizen...
Wait, finish. Let me finish, Steve. It says, I felt that the pay rank was too high at the time it was established. So she's telling you is, hey, I'm making too much darn money.
Yeah, and we don't deserve it.
2, we don't deserve it. And 3, hey, if you ask me to cut my salary, I ain't doing it. Ain't gonna happen.
So go eat cake.
Exactly. Right. And then you wonder, and then the supervisors wonder why when we come on, guys.
Come on, guys. Really. Come on, guys. It's time, people. So it's time.
So if we challenge...
Change has to be made here.
If we challenge the raise, do not get offended, since Deidre Kelsey says they don't deserve it. She came out in the paper, and it is quoted that she said, we don't deserve the pay raise. Our pay was too high, but I'm not going to take a pay cut if you ask me to. You ask me about self-serving people, that's number one on my hit list for 2014. She angered me when I read that, because what it was just bleeding arrogance.
Amen.
Right.
Amen.
I got a question for you, Case.
What?
Okay. Did you see in the article it said that...
I think Casey's experiencing blood drain.
Well, I am. Actually, they couldn't... my vein clotted up here. I think I'm so upset about this that it's not working out well.
Okay. My question is, as I read in this article, that the supervisor's pay is 54.2% of the judges. How do they get to these stupid, dumb-ass numbers?
Well, they did this because they wanted to have an arm's length approach to any kind of pay raises they've had.
As where did they get the
$54,000 discretionary funds to throw around their reelection slush fund every year, to throw around the community to their various benefactors, and that was reduced to $40,000. And they wanted to show that they were impartial, so they let the judges pay tied to theirs. Now, where in the world you would tie a judge to a county supervisor, I don't know, but I guess they had to tie it to something.
But the numbers, the math numbers are really kind of, it's like I gave myself a 1.245. Where do you come up with these obscure, weird 54.2%?
It gives the illusion that you're in control and you know what you're doing.
But here's the thing, though. Let's get this right, people. The judges, their performance is what's basing your supervisor's pay, not the supervisor performance. You don't go up there and go, okay, see John Pedroza here 28 out of 30 days. I seen Hub Walsh 28 out of 30 days. He doing something. Where's Jerry? Jerry's gone. Where's Lynn? Lynn's driving his Corvette running around Merced somewhere. And who is Deidre? I live in Snelling, Kelsey.
Yeah, and look at, you have the supervisor admitting that based on performance, they don't deserve a raise.
Yes.
And Casey had some interesting statistics I think we should talk about when we come out of this commercial break about poverty rates and about where Merced County sits where the county north of us and then where the county south of it sits and whose responsibility these shoulders fall on.
Okay, and I got a better question for you real quick. Tell me what the county management analyst does, because when we come back from break, we're going to go on this little doodad here.
You're listening to 1480 AM KYOS here in Merced, California. Citizen Watch with Casey, Steed, Robert Tomasetti, and yours truly. We'll be right back after
Who's yours
this
truly?
message.
Hey, what's your name, dude?
Me. Welcome back to Citizen Watch. You're listening to 1480 AM KYOS here in beautiful downtown Merced. And we've lost one of our hosts.
Casey fainted.
Yeah, Casey's giving blood right now and having some complications. Nothing serious, but he's
having an argument with Nurse Ratchet. He's going to give us a call
back here when he gets a chance, and we'll have him in for our final segment or halfway through this when he gets back to us. But anyway, we were talking about what were we talking about?
Mike North.
No, we were talking about
we were done with
the merit
of
the raises that our county supervisors have recently.
And then I asked, what is a county management analyst?
Yes, you did.
Okay, now, if I'm asking, if somebody says I am the county if somebody doesn't ask, but if somebody says I am the county management analyst, that means that you're something really special, really, because you're analyzing something, right?
I would guess,
but it says
that's what the title implies for sure.
Right, but that's what I think with a hearing officer too, but it ends up being Mark Hendrickson. And where I'm going with this is Mike North is supposed to be. Wasn't he supposed to be? What do they call those guys? The information
KYOS, public information officer.
Yeah, that's what he was hired as, right? But now all of a sudden he pops up his head as the county management analyst. Did they give him another hat too, so that they could justify his money that they're paying him? Because I never see this guy's name in anything. So what information is he publicly deciphering?
I couldn't tell you, Robert. I don't know how that outfit runs.
Yeah, it's just amazing when you don't pay attention to it and you just live life.
They count on it.
And you just live life. And you
Politicians count on that.
Right. And you go in and you're just living life, and everything seems hunky-dory. And, like I said, okay, the judges get a pay raise. Okay, well, what? Supervisors are tied to that? Really? So my buddies up there on the third floor in the penthouse suite, they are over there not only getting their perks, but they're also getting a pay raise.
Yeah, you know what I was going to suggest in the last segment was
Sure.
is why not a citizens oversight committee? Why not a citizens committee that gets together and analyzes how we've been doing as a county?
They asked that.
And what?
They said that. They said that what happened is okay, let me see. It says Deidre Kelsey said we didn't make it happen or ask for it to happen. Adding the pay increase was a surprise. It's just automatic and we don't influence that or control it. Okay, so let's reiterate this. Their pay is whatever we think the court judges should get, so they get a portion of it. So if we think the judges
percentage of it,
right, we think the judges are doing a great job, they get a pay raise too.
One thing you can't argue with the judges is they are busy. They get in there every single day and work their butts off trying to get the system unclogged. So we know that they're working hard and they're getting results because they're tangible. You can see that they're filtering cases through the system.
Well, let's look at this way.
There's paperwork to show of it. How do we measure whether or not our county supervisors are being successful?
Absolutely good answer. A good question. Because if you look at the judges, there's no place at the end, right, in the court, in the jails.
Right.
So that means they're doing their job.
Exactly.
Okay.
They're doing their
I
job.
understand that. But what I'm having a big problem with this, and maybe that's why Casey fainted, is the fact that Deidre Kelsey is so arrogant that she says, it's real easy, people, to say, I didn't deserve it. They just gave it to me. Okay. And then she comes back and says, well, we didn't.
You know why she's arrogant? Because she's been running unopposed for 20 years. And what that is telling her is that she's something special because she's so good at what she does.
No, she's a hero. She deserves.
But that's my point, is it's not her fault. It's the people listening to this program right now that have allowed this to fester and continue decade after decade after decade.
I disagree. You are one of three people on probably one of the funniest, best produced, awesomest radio shows, and yet you still show up as Steve, the tennis guy. Okay, I don't see you coming with, Heather Locklear or whatever as the tennis pro. Okay, you didn't get arrogant. The problem that I have is maybe Deidre Kelsey was arrogant to start with, and she was the only person with any.
Why has she been sitting in that chair for the last 20 years?
Because, first of all, I think if you look at her demographics are low income. The county is noted for and Casey's going to give us some statistics.
And there's nobody that lives in her district right now that's listening to this program that thinks they can do a better job than her. And because if she's the best their district has to offer,
it's in trouble.
Then she deserves to be arrogant.
Well, and the thing that I don't like about arrogantness is the fact that she agrees that the raises are unwarranted. She said it's a surprise, it's unwarranted, but you know what? If you're asking me to take a pay raise, I ain't doing it. And if you think that there should be a public process to evaluate me, then it's called an election, baby.
Right.
And every 4 years you can vote me out. And I'm going to tell you something.
The next opportunity with 2016.
I'm going to tell you, she has become the face of my bullseye for 2014.
But we have an opportunity here in November of 2014 to make some statements.
Yes.
That we are sick and tired of the status quo. That we are sick and tired of the lack of progress in this county.
Yep.
And we can cite statistic after statistic, whether it be unemployment, whether it be poverty rate. We are suffering. We are not being led.
Well, I agree with you. And here's the thing. If I was a supervisor, I'm going to tell you what I would do. If I'm a supervisor, I'm going to make Merced cool. I'm going to make Merced County a cool place to live. I go to Pebble Beach.
What if you don't know how to make it cool? What if you don't know how to get done what you want to get done? Is that a possibility? Is it a possibility that there's great intentions up there in that building, that the people sit around and they want to make this a cooler place, they want to make this more attractive to employers, that they want the poverty rate to drop, they want the homelessness issue to go away, but they have great intentions, but they don't have the ability to know how to get it done?
I disagree and agree. Let me explain. When you talk to people, you talk to Supervisor Walsh, you talk to Supervisor O'Bannon, you talk to Lynn Davis. I don't talk too much because he's going shoo in his Corvette. Okay, and you talk to Supervisor what's his name. Those three men that I have talked to always have an idea, and they want to help, and they want to do. I have never met Deidre Kelsey, but when I read this, I wanted to vomit. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? On one side, I mean, do you even know how to hold a press conference? Do you even know how to talk? On one hand, we don't deserve it. And you know what? It was just given to us. And yeah, we don't deserve it. And it's unwarranted. And then on the other side, well, I'm not giving any of the money back. And if you don't like it, vote me out.
Can I also interject one other thought here?
So wait, Steve, real quick. So what does that tell you about Deidre Kelsey? That tells you that maybe she doesn't really care about doing the right thing.
I don't know that or not. I can tell you all I know is the anecdotal evidence is that she's been running unopposed there for 2 decades. She's been sitting in that chair for 20 years, and no one in her district has thought that she's been doing such a poor job that they want to run against her.
Well, let me ask you a question with Deidre Kelsey. From what I know, she holds Snelling. She has Snelling. She has Winton and another area. But anyways, you look at John Pedroso, he has LeGrand Planada. He's got his hand full with LeGrand Planada and what's going on out there. He's got South Merced. He's got Livingston. Okay, you got Lynn Davis has Atwater. You got Hub Walsh that has a majority of Merced. And you have Jerry O'Bannon that has the West Side. Every one of them are working and things look to be getting better, but I don't see anything getting better when I drive through Snelling and Winton. So what the hell is she doing? Except,
well, like I said, I think we could take that county as a whole. I mean, I don't see, I do see some things that I think are very positive. One of the things that I'm noticing, and I don't know if we've had a function on this or not, but people are keeping the city clean. And I think that's cool. There's neighborhoods that I drive through now that are much cleaner than they used to be.
Yep.
Kudos to the citizens, because this is what this program's all about.
Citizens.
It's about you guys. It's about the listeners. It's about the little guy. It's about the guy that's trying to make a living here. And you have to ask yourself if you're being shepherded in the way that we want to go. And if we don't, then you have to become active. Mm-hmm. We can't have 22% voter turnout.
Well,
we can't have incumbents running unopposed.
Yeah, but
we have to have people in this community that want to throw their hat in the ring, number one, have the courage to do that. And number two, you got to vote. You got to take that one day a year, get out there, and like Deidre Kelsey said, that's the one time a year that you get to have your voice heard about where you think this county is going. And if you look at the statistics, if you look at the raw data, it speaks volumes.
Yeah, it does, but I disagree with you on some points. And first of all, this is about you, the people, because our show is called Citizen Watch.
It's about the citizens.
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to give you a voice. We're saying things that you're thinking in your head on your way to work, but don't want to say because you're afraid of something.
And you know what? We're going to ask you. At some point, we are going to ask you to do something. We are going to ask you to do something.
And
I
that
hope
something is the vote.
That you develop enough respect for the people on this radio station and the people that you listen to here to know that we have your best intentions at heart. And there's going to come a point where we ask you to mobilize. And I hope you're there for us.
Well, look at what we did with Noah Lohr. Noah Lohr thought that he was going to come in, he was going to use his power within his natural market, which is Laotian community. He was going to come in, he was going to stump, he's going to put his name on the sign, go to Minnesota, go to Wisconsin, Washington, get some money, come back and win. And guess what people said? Hey, wait a minute, we ain't falling for that. And Stan Thurston. Now, I talked to Barbara Levy, who is the elections young lady who's in charge of the elections and the voter registrar, and she said that they were thinking there was going to be only a 12% voter turnout for the election, and it ended up being over 24. We hope that we had something to say about that,
which is encouraging. It doubled, but it's still very low.
It's still very low. But
in order for us to function change here, listeners, we're going to have to come out in 50. Bigger numbers than that, at least 50. And we're gonna create an army here, and we're gonna create accountability here.
Uh-oh.
And when election day rolls around, we're gonna mobilize. Right, and we're gonna ask you to mobilize, because you know what, people? That's the only way things are gonna change.
Right. But the thing is when you have accessibility to a supervisor, and you tell him things that
Casey's back on the line.
Okay.
You want to bring him in?
Yeah. You mean you're asking me?
Case?
Yes.
We're rolling, buddy. So,
did they give you some orange juice, slap you on the face, throw some water in your face so that you can come up?
I have to apologize to our listeners for taking a prayer. Are we on the air?
Yeah, we are rolling. Yep.
Okay, well, I don't know what you guys
Well, I'm going to tell you, we're talking about accountability and about...
Steve's talking about that, and what I'm trying to reiterate to the listeners is, when you have a lady who doesn't come up for renewal of a vote, or her position doesn't come till 2016, okay, right. That's 2 more years. She can say stupid things like this and get away with it because, let's be honest, America has a short attention span. Okay, and I think that this arrogance that she has shown is basically, hey, like Casey said, let them eat cake. They're starving. Give them our cake that we.
Yep. It will be interesting to see what some of the other county officials. I know we have another show which we have a father-son team come on. It'd be nice to see what their attitudes are. Both from the city.
You know what they're going to say? Nothing about it.
Exactly. I don't like. I was going to say.
They're not going to address it.
Talk about
because
it.
I'm going to be very honest. And I've said this over and over and over. John Pedroso, Hub Walsh are hardworking individuals. So is Jerry O'Bannon. You don't see him much because he's on the website.
Here's where a disconnect is between you and I. I would never question whether or not somebody's working hard.
Right.
I'm looking for results.
Right.
I don't care if you're putting
with you there.
If nothing's happening and you're putting in an 80-hour work week, still nothing's happening.
No,
the result
I understand
is the end. And that's I don't want to sit here and question people's integrity, saying they're working or they're not working. All I can question is the results. And one of the results Casey and I were talking about earlier was poverty rate. So, Casey, can you take a couple seconds and tell us what you know about that?
Yeah, well, I do want to talk about that, and that's what I mentioned in the articles. It shouldn't be tied to the judge's wages. It shouldn't be tied to anybody's wages. They should stand alone, and it should be based on performance. And we here at Citizen Watch talk about performance. We just don't talk out the top of our head. In a county of 262,000 people, the average poverty rate in California is 15% of the population.
1.5.
In Merced, 1.5. In Merced, it's 25%. The city of Merced. If you go to the city of Madera to the north of us,
south,
27%. Or to the south of us, excuse me. If you go to Fresno, 27%. But how do we always tout Turlock and all of the good things they're doing? Guess what their poverty rate is? 15%.
Yeah, but okay. Wait, Case. You're right with the numbers, but you're wrong with how we arrive at the numbers. You got to realize Merced, Madera, and Fresno counties are the breadbasket of California. It's an agriculturally based economy.
I think those are excuses.
No, it's not an excuse.
Those are excuses.
No, it's not an excuse.
Turlock is too.
No, Turlock's not.
Turlock is an agricultural.
Really?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Stanislaus County?
No, you didn't say Stanislaus County. You said Turlock.
Turlock, Stanislaus County, what the case may be.
Let's not split hairs.
Exactly.
Exactly. How come we're not a Turlock?
Right.
We are much better than Turlock.
Of course we are.
But because we make excuses.
Well, what I'm saying is that Steve calls it an excuse. I say it's a reason. But what I'm saying is it's a basis to step off of. Okay, yeah, we're agriculturally based. So we work from March to November. But what are we doing from November to March? People are on unemployment, they're on welfare and all this stuff.
What is Stanislaus County doing?
Stanislaus County has Modesto.
Has a manufacturing going on. This is
exactly
right. We need to have more manufacturing, more industrial business.
We're all saying the same thing.
If I have to listen to more excuses why we can't be better than we are, I'm going to vomit. I'm going to vomit.
You're going to hear him
because
this year.
We always got excuses, man.
Well, look,
no, I just think.
Let me just go through a few statistics here.
Sure.
This not only ties in with the Board of Supervisors, but also our school district. We saw another good article in the paper this weekend, or it's not the weekend, but over the New Year's holiday.
Yesterday.
About how optimistic the school district is. Well, when you look at the people over 25 with a high school diploma, Merced has 66%. The rate in California is 81%. That's what the average is. When you look at people with a bachelor degree, we only have 12.5% of the people. Mm-hmm. The average is 30%. Mm-hmm. And you can go to cities north and south of us and see higher percentages. And these are the kind of things that attract people to our area that are going to bring industrial and jobs.
Right.
And let's talk about the supervisors' lack of support with the Walmart distribution center.
Go, Casey.
What did we hear? We heard that it was, it's in the city. No, it's not. It's in the county of Merced, and you represent the county of Merced. How about the killing fields out there in Planada? Are we happy with that? We just had our first murder over here off of Loughborough. I mean, we look at performance, people. That's what we look at. I have hard numbers, And that's why these people don't deserve a raise.
Well, and I don't disagree with you. And that's exactly what I'm trying to say, guys, is Merced has some special things that make it...
keep going. The per capita income.
No,
Turlock,
exactly.
$23,000. What is Merced's per capita income?
$17,000.
Nobody wants to come here. There's no money to be spent.
No.
You wonder why retailers won't relocate here?
And that's not going to change.
And Steve,
that is not going to change until we get new leadership. That's why elections.
Not the economic development of this county.
You guys are absolutely correct. But let me just say what I was thinking. When you look at the numbers, the statistics, Merced, Madera, and Fresno are special because of the agricultural base in terms of why those numbers are skewed. But what Turlock did, which I agree with Steve, is the leadership there said, "Hey, I want to be the community, a bedroom community of Modesto, because the Bay Area is pouring down, and I want to make it attractive." So what did they do? They did make opportunity, and you're understanding that they did, and that's why they're successful. And I don't disagree with you guys. There is no results here showing any opportunities for people to want to come here and people to want to relocate here.
And the only way we're going to change that is by getting new people in here.
Yes,
and that's going to come
or
through
change the entire
elections.
paradigm.
And that's what I was talking about earlier. There's going to be a call to action. People listening to this program, there's going to be a call to action.
One of the sitting supervisors gave us the answer, as arrogant and as insolent as it is.
Well, we got a shot coming up here in November.
He told us the answer.
Absolutely. Well, we got to take another commercial break. You're listening to the Citizen Watch here on 1480 AM KYOS here in beautiful downtown Merced. We'll be right back with the Velvet Sledgehammer.
Robert Tomasetti.
Hey,
Casey, Steed.
I was named first. Because you always go, "Hey, Casey, welcome back." I feel like a third wheel over here.
You get top billing, my brother. We'll be right back.
We're happy.
Okay, guys. Hey.
All right. Welcome back to Citizen Watch here on 1480 AM KYOS. And
I want to get off the tip line.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Tip line? You're in a damn hospital somewhere.
And in case, are you getting some hot leads on that tip line? How's that tip line doing for you?
The tip line is working well. It's 406-8728-209 area code, 24/7. It's staffed. You can send text messages.
Yep.
If you don't want to talk, you can leave it an anonymous tip. You can use a payphone, whatever you want to do. It's not monitored. It's not recorded in any way.
There will be no retribution. Because a lot of people that contact me want to say a lot of things, but they say they can't because if they do, that their bosses there will be retaliation.
And you know what?
I think bosses will beat them, or they'll be blackballed from business in Merced. Because let me tell you, we have a lot of the who's who of Merced that listen to us and secretly tell us, we agree with you. We just can't stand out and support you because we have to do business in this town, Casey.
And maybe,
well, I understand that. But I love this town enough to be our voices are louder than a thunderstorm in May, folks. Let me tell you.
But our strength,
we are the voice of Citizen Watch, and we're going to tell it like it is. And a lot of people don't like it, but a lot more do.
So you want me to be more sledgy and not as velvety? Because I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel that. I feel exactly what you're saying. Oh, well, I don't want him here, and I don't like it because he's on the radio, and he talks about this, and he talks about that. And you know what?
We've already got repercussions where people don't want to have us at their little ice cream social. Well, you know what? You can segregate us and try to stifle us. It only makes us stronger.
But it hurts my feelings.
Well, you have to be tough to be in this business. But I was just going to make the point that we are only as strong as the people listening to this program.
Yes.
You are the listeners of this program are the strength. The three of us can't do much.
No.
It's the strength.
We can, and we do need our listeners. We need the whole KYOS radio family.
And we need Merced.
And we're going to call you out. We're going to call you out one of these days. We're going to ask you.
Okay, I'm going to get sledgy here. You ready, guys? Let's get sledgy. When I'm at a function and I'm listening to rhetoric that makes absolute no sense, you want to talk about totally looking at people that you respect and go, "Are you that dumb?" Like all the people in Winton and all the people in Snelling, you're voting for Deidre Kelsey, who says, "I don't deserve my money, but I'm not giving it back. And if you don't like it, vote me out." Are you serious?
Yeah, well, she didn't even face opposition last time. It's just this kind of arrogance that I think the air up there at 2222 M Street on the third floor is so thin. These people are so disconnected. I mean, like I say, I've been to this. I've watched them a half hour tops. Now, I know they do things otherwise. They know about sports, and, they watched Colin Kaepernick pick out blueberries out of a muffin, and they knew he was going to be a great passer. I mean, we hear about all of that in their knowledge.
Blueberries out of a muffin?
The knowledge of our city.
Right. There is no Vince. I was talking to my friend Vince Perro about this last night. But you know what, Casey, you're absolutely correct. There's no intelligence. You know what it is? They surround themselves with sycophants, and then they wonder why nothing gets happen. I'm going to be honest with you. What really annoyed me was this Pat Lunny thing and his rhetoric about Mark Pazin. They're buddies, and he says I have to recreate and I have to redo. And I'm like, oh, what are you saying under your hat about your friend that's up in Sacramento now?
It's like you said though. They had a beer that night at the Elks Lodge, and Lenny said, I didn't mean that, Mark. And Mark's like, yeah, I know, it's just politics. I mean, that's the way it works.
Meanwhile, 28 dead in the county. Were the Easter massacre in Winton, has that been solved?
Nope.
Have the Planada killing fields gotten any better? We talk about performance since last July. What have they done to earn that raise? The number of deaths in the county? Maybe we should tie it to that.
Yeah.
Well, my point is you guys are right. We need to hold them accountable, but the thing is I look at other things and I go, but you guys are absolutely correct. It's performance based. My job is performance based. Our job here at the radio station is performance based. So should theirs. You shouldn't have a lady lead with her face telling the public that I got a pay raise I don't deserve, and you can't do anything about it.
And they haven't even balanced the budget, folks. Our listeners, listen.
Let me ask you guys
this. Budget in the last 5 years in the county of Merced. If you ran your household like that, you'd be living at the D Street shelter.
Let me ask you guys an honest question, and you guys really honestly tell me this.
Or you live in a UP Estates. There's less rules over there. Hey, they don't enforce anything in this town, so you got your choice.
Let me explain. Let me ask you this. The state comes out of the doldrums, and they're supposedly going to be in the black for the first time in years. And what's the first thing they do?
Raises.
And more money.
No.
Raises.
Pay raises.
Yep.
Pay raises for highway patrol. Pay raises for the first thing legislature pay raise. Because we didn't get one in 4 years. Okay, but the point of the matter, like Steve always says, is do you deserve one? Okay, that's the thing I always got mad with the plan administrator with Merced County with their 401k and the retirement thing is, well, do you deserve one? Did you get like stellar results that nobody else got? Or no, I'm looking at Madera gets 22.
Well, that's what Casey's point was earlier when he was citing those facts about poverty rates and incomes and per capita incomes and stuff like that. We can prove that we're at the bottom. We can prove it.
Yeah.
What did Casey always tell you, Steve? Math.
Improve on, folks, to make our community better. These figureheads that sit up there and ride on the fire truck at the Christmas parade and throw out a few butterscotch candies to the kids, that looks nice, but it's what happens the other 364 days of the year.
And the sad thing is,
the stats prove they're not doing their job. We can't even be average. When I say the average poverty rate, people in San Diego, there's not that kind of poverty. But we can't even be average in our county, and yet they want to raise.
Yes, and I agree with you there. And I think I look at it that we're on radio, we have some sway in things, and we don't want to really hurt everybody. But you know what, Steve's absolutely right. I think in 2014, what we should do is we should look at things that are not right and say, why aren't they? Why?
Well, I have a few suggestions because Robert. You're exactly right, because as the supervisor said, Deidre, Kelsey, we can't expect any leadership from them. The only public process is the election process. But what do we do in between those 4 years? 20 times a century we crawl to the ballot box to change things. I have a few suggestions. Let's get a new economic development director over there. I'm not saying get rid of Mark Hendrickson.
Yeah, you are.
Put him in charge of dog licenses. Put him in charge of the building permits. Somebody wants to do a room addition. I heard through Bramble that they'd be lucky if they get 100 building permits this year. That's something he can probably handle. But as far as economic development director, that horse don't run. We're in, he likes to use these good walk-off single and a good double. We're in extra innings, Mark, and we haven't seen anything. Let's hire somebody who has a personality, that can not talk in arcane sports terms and analogies, and will get the job done. The other thing I'd like to suggest to the supervisors before you give yourself a raise is balance the budget. the other thing I want to suggest is cut your salary 15% until you restore the lost positions, until you can get government working again, until you can get these numbers from the Census Bureau up. Then I'll be willing to look at a raise for you.
You know what it takes?
Casey, I've never asked you this before, and I hope that I'm not putting you on the spot right here on the air, but would you consider running for public office?
Cannot even talk about that at this point.
He's getting off of his faint.
I look at our position on Citizen Watch as more. I think that we do more good than I could do in public office, because look at what they're doing in public office. Look what we're going. You need to have a majority down there that's going to row the boat in the same direction. Not everybody with their own personal little axes to grind, their own little good old boy systems.
You're right.
These are the kind of things that we need to have, and one person alone cannot do it. I've tried 2 times. I was rejected. I don't want to talk about a third time. It's not proper.
All right.
What is proper to talk about is what's on the plate before us in 2014, where we've been and where we're going. And folks, if we don't shape up, I can tell you right where we're going. We're circling the drain, and there's only one way.
And we've been circling that drain for a long time with the same people flushing the toilet. It's time for new blood. And if Casey, unfortunately, you think you can.
How about you, Steve?
Fortunately for us, I'm not a political guy. I'm just not. I don't play the game well.
But you know what my problem is?
I don't play the game.
My problem is I don't have a problem with the game, because I'd be one of those guys like a salmon fishing up, swimming upstream.
Robert would be the one.
But no, it's like I say about Pat Lunny. Anybody who's running, Pat Lunny, John Pedroso, any of them, there are missteps that we've made in life that will come back to haunt you when you try to run for office. And in my personality, I'd rather be here having fun, laughing, than trying to run for cover and explaining every misdeed I ever took. And, I don't think people, and that's one thing I don't like about mudslinging and political campaigns, but they do.
Absolutely.
Okay, and
Absolutely.
the situation is I don't want to subject myself to it.
And I would take that personal. A lot of people think that's just part of the game. No, I would take that personal.
We're not trying to make it personal, folks.
Right. But let's do this.
Understand, we want performance. We want a good Merced. I may seem idealistic, but I remember when Merced was a nice community. I remember when we didn't have the Walking Dead walking down the street. I didn't have to take my garbage can out 2 seconds before the garbage man there because it was going to be pilfered. I just don't understand what has happened to our community, where our leaders
You know what it is?
gone.
What it is, Casey?
Leaders, they've seen the decline. Do you have to promote your political party at the detriment to the rest of us?
Yes, that's exactly what they're about. And what I would like to
happening in this state of California. Give it up. You live in a conservative place, folks. The Central Valley has conservative values. We're more concerned about bilingual restroom for kindergartens than we are with educating our kids.
Exactly.
We heard Dr. Walsh again this weekend said, we care about our kids. It shows, Dr. Walsh, it does not show. I have the statistics to prove it. If you care, if that's love, how about education? How about teaching them? How about doing something that way?
Well, you're absolutely correct. And you know what? That's been all negative. So let's leave this on a positive. I give tons of kudos, Casey. I don't know if you read the local region, A2. A store clerk calls a robber's bluff and the guy bails. And I thought, wow, there was a store clerk at 2:37 a.m. on the 400 block of North Mercy Springs Road that a robber got in his face, and he called the robber down, and guess what? The robber bailed. And I think that's what we need to do with our leaders. We need to hold them accountable.
And I would also like to encourage anybody listening that's heard, the perspectives that you've heard here today that agree with them. Why not you? Why not you throw your hat in the ring?
Exactly.
Too busy.
Get in there. There's somebody listening to this show right now that in their heart of hearts feels right now that they can make a difference in our community.
You know what I would like to do?
Throw your hat in the ring. Please.
If they wouldn't take my divorce and all of this stuff, through the ringer, I'll tell you what, I'd like Hub Walsh's job. Okay, because I don't know how well
we would lose you.
Who?
If you ran for political office, we'd have to kick you off the air.
Why you don't kick Pedroso and Pedroso off the air?
Well, yeah, it's true. We could keep you on, but we can't talk politics. But that would be hard for you to do.
Does Pedroso and Pedroso not talk politics?
Anyway, I just what I hope we're doing is in some kind of
lay
way,
the foundation for 2014.
And be optimistic, people. Be optimistic because the greatest thing of all is this is still a democracy. This is the United States of America, and you have the power to make change. And people, it's time for change from top to bottom. It's time for change.
We're not angry old men. We've been accused of coming across too difficult. We only have 45 minutes twice a week to get our views and opinions out, and they're shared by a great majority, I can tell you.
And those 45 minutes are up, my brother. You want to take us out?
Well, I thank everybody for listening to Citizen Watch. Please tune in again next Tuesday for another edition with Steve Colvard, the best engineer in the business, Robert the Velvet Sledgehammer Tomasetti,